This is no doubt my greatest finding, and I will perpetuate this in many videos and extend it into total Judaism in general, and probably extend it in the world. The great secret here, it's always brought down that God is one and all is one. And, all people are one. Everything is one. And some of the religions, they talk about, all religions are the same. Everything is one. And even in the Shema, it's Adonai Echad. Adonai is one. In normative Judaism and in the Torah and in the Talmud, and for even rabbis and scholars, they never heard of the word Ein Soph. Ein Soph is a Kabbalistic term. And it's been around for 1,000 years, more, whatever it is. But what is the Ein Soph? How does that relate? If everything is one, then what is the Ein Soph? And the great secret is, and this is the great mystery, the Ein Soph is the number 0. That's what Ein Soph is. It's 0. So the Kabbalah brings in the number 0, where the normative Judaism, even in its most esoteric forms, bring everything to one. Kol Yisrael Echad. Adonai Echad. The number Echad itself is one. And so what was added by Kabbalah is the number 0. Now this has been brought down in mysticism. Obviously, mystics have known this all along. It's brought down in Arabic as Sifra, like Sephira. It's brought down in Sanskrit, Hindi, is Sunya, like Sunyata, Sannyasin. The Sunya means emptiness, 0. It comes down exactly as Ein Soph, as the word Ephes in Hebrew, Aleph, Pei, Samek, and if you change the letters, it's Aleph, Samek, final Pei, which is Ein Soph's letters, and the way it's written. So what I bring you is that there's a level above the number 1, and that's the number 0. And it's everything. Now, other religions say this. I listened to a tape the other day of a Muslim said, I am 0. And the whole point of Hasidism, and I've said this in a little bit earlier tape, is to be 0. But for me, I have another concept. 0 is for sure, because that's what comes in from Ein Soph. So if you want to be a Kabbalist, deal in 0. And in a certain sense, I was wrong when I used to say, instead of positive thinking like everybody else in the world, I used to say the power of negative thinking. But I'm going to change it a little bit. It's the power of 0 thinking. Not the power of negative thinking. The power of 0 thinking. And miraculously, to open up the line even more, the mathematical line even more. 0, since it has is a number, it's part of the number lines, real numbers is 0, can have two signs. The +0 and the -0. So what I'm introducing is the concept of -0. In a certain sense, if you can see, they even talk about the top half and the bottom half. So the top half of the 0 is a +0, and the bottom half of the 0 is a -0. And so I want to introduce into Judaism a slightly different function rather than in all these other religions or esoteric aspects. They say, I am 0, I'm nothing. Well, I'm -0. Not 0, I'm -0, because that introduces the negative line. Just like 1/0 is infinity. And did you ever see the way the infinity sign's written? It's written number 8, which is 2 zeros put together. Because one of those is -0 and the other is +0. But quite frankly, this is a little bit specific. But Ein Sof is 0, therefore Kabbalah is only about 0. You know, very often I've said, and it's a little weird, that I'm a tennis player first and a Jew second. I spent all my life playing tennis every day, all day, and studied on the side. So what am I really? I'm what I do all the time, did all the time. In tennis, the scoring systems are really weird. You know, it goes 15 love, 30 love, 40 love game. Number one, it's like a clock. Number two, that clock is like an egg, or it's like a samak, but the real deal here is in English you say 15 love. That means it's 15-0. 30 love. 30-0. Love 30. It's love to 30. You know why? Love is 0. And let's extend this in an equation. If Ein Sof is 0, and 0 equals love, then Ein Sof equals love. The attribute of Ein Sof is love because love is 0. And how to be in love? It's when you are 0 for the other. When you're in a 0 and the other person is everything. You know, it's brought down even to be nothing is to be everything. So you have no barriers of the self. Ein Sof is 0. It's an attribute of Ein Sof. It's a construct because 0 isn't talked about in the Torah. It's not talked about in the Talmud or the codes. Ein Sof is a Kabbalistic concept because the entire Kabbalah is only about 0. It's based on the number 0. Once you have the number 0 in front of you, you know Kabbalah. Put a 0 in front of you and it's like Beitzah, like an egg. And then study Beitzah. Talmudic tract Beitzah. That circle is endless. Ein Sof is the study of zero. Kabbalah is the study of zero. How zero functions in the world mathematically, as a placeholder, things like that. The whole mysticism is about zero. The whole practicality is about one. The physical world is about one. The mystical world is about zero. I'm going to extend this because I am zero. But more than so than that, I'm negative zero. I'm negative zero. I'm the lower half of zero. Not part of the positive world. Kabbalah and esoteric Judaism is all about zero. It's all about, well, that's why Hasidism is about, Hasid is a submissive. No different than the word Muslim, meaning submissive. Because Islam means submission. This is not dominance, not active dominance. It's submission. The one, when you're number one in something, see? Even in tennis, Djokovic is number one, and what did he become after he was number one? He didn't fall back and become number two and he became zero. Because after a person is one, number one, it's funny, the word one, W-O-N, is the same as O-N-E. Then you become the zero in the word one of W-O-N, and you become the zero, or the O, in the word one, O-N-E. The secret of the word one is the zero in it. Because that's what you'll aspire to after you're one. And the only way to get to one, to get to zero is through the one. So when somebody's the highest in the field, where do they go then? When they say, oh, the only direction is down. No, the only direction is up to zero. Zero is higher than the one. Zero, those two zeros, because there's two zeros, a plus and a minus zero, becomes infinity. This is beautiful. And it's so simple. You know, I used to do things about the Aleph, that everything comes out of the Aleph. That's the one. And the Yud Hey Vav Hey comes out of the Aleph as 26. And the 26 is the Yud on top of the Aleph, the Vav, and the Yud on the bottom. It's 26. So Yud Hey Vav Hey is 1. It's 26. Yud Hey Vav Hey is the Aleph, which is 1. And it's the same in all letters, and everything comes out of that, by the way. The Baal Shem Tov says if you know the Aleph, you know everything. Sure, you know all the letters. It's the same in Islam if you know the Alif. And that's why I wanted to teach the Alif to people. You know one letter of the alphabet. You know the entire religion. If you know the Sanskrit, if you know the one, what are they called? I forget now. Hieroglyphic or the ideogram of how means like ni hao, how are you? It's mother and child, mother and child. That union, that's like ni hao. The point is, there's a level above it. And that level is zero. And that has no letter. The zero has no letter. In Arabic, it may be a sukoon on an alif. But that's another story. There's no letter attached to the zero. Ein Soph is not represented in the letter. In a certain sense, it may be the white on the page. But I found one thing about where it might be, and that's why it's coming full cycle here to me right now. To me, the 0 day is the first day of Pesach. First of all, it's the only day you have to eat matzah, biblically. And something that I always found very weird, why do they start counting the Omer on the second day of Pesach? You know? And there's always this machlokas about, when Shavuos is. Is Shavuos the 50th day? Is it the 51st day? Is it the day after the 7 weeks? Is it 51 days? Is it 50? But how come it starts in second day of Pesach? We're in the diaspora here. We're having what do you call it? Second Seder. And in a certain weird sense, that also affects what day of the Omer Lag Ba'omer is or Lad Ba'omer. And Sephardic do Lad Ba'omer, the 34th day of the Omer, but the 34th day of the Omer, in a certain sense, when you count from 0, maybe the 33rd day of the Omer. The 0 day is the first day of Pesach. That's 0 day. That's the beginning of the Jewish people. And there's two beginnings. There's Bereshis with this bet and the Bereshis, bet, Bereshis, two beginnings. The beginning of creation at Bereshis, and the beginning of the Jewish people at the coming out of Pesach. They're coming out of Mitzrayim. So Pesach with the Haggadah, beginning of the Jewish people. Starting at 40 years in the desert. And it's the first commandment. Anoki, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, land of the house of slavery. That's 0 day. Find some other zeros. Anyway, the point is, emotionally, be 0. Be nothing. You'll find out very soon that you are nothing. You die. Be nothing. Let's see. Now the other thing is, how to express this nothing is through love. The attribute of, so you know that phrase, love your enemies as yourself, as a Christian? Absorb it, do it. Love everybody for everything. Do you really think there should be prisons in this world? Got cell phones that know where you are all the time. Do you really think there should be prisons? Or should there be a society that embraces these individuals and brings them back into the society, if the society is so great. Everything's fated from God. So if everything's fated from God, I know they're going to say, well, so should the person have their head cut off who killed my friend. Maybe my friend is supposed to die for whatever reason. So for those who really want to be Kabbalists and mystics and enlightened people, rather than just read about it, one has to do the behavioral aspects and the intellectual aspects. It's the same thing in yoga. I've been hearing that this Hatha yoga is a little bit of a farce. It's a little bit of a made-up invention for the West. The real yoga is Raja yoga, which is an intellectual and emotional yoga development. And it's only been a couple hundred years it's gotten popular, the sun salutation, up dog, down dog, Number two, have you ever heard anybody who developed Kundalini? I mean, really? You know how many Kundalini things there are in the world? Anyway, it's another story. Let's get to zero again. I'm going to develop the negative zero a little more. I didn't do it here right now. But the whole idea of the attribute of Ein Soph, because Ein Soph is a constructed figure that's not found in the Torah or Talmud or codes or Mishnah. It's a constructed thing, and it's the attribute of it, like they have the attributes of the three heads of Keter, of faith, hope, pleasure, and will. The attribute of Ein Soph is Ahava, love. And the real weird thing is that Ahava is 13. And so is Echad. And the two of them together become 26. Or if you just take the Echad, Yud He Vav He, and give me Ahava, it's 13, then we get 39, which is the same as the 39 forbidden labors of Shabbos. And the 40th labor, by the way, is Bia. So a whole and a half of things is 39. 2 times Ahava is 26. Ahava Echad is 26. Ahava is 13. Echad is 13. Love is 0. Echad is 1. The 0 and the 1 go together as Ein and Soph, because the Samech is a 60, it's a 0. So Echad is the 1, the Aleph. Ahava is the Samech. The woman is a Samech. It's a whole. It's a Nakuva. The Aleph, especially in Arabic, you see it as a line. The Aleph is the phallus. The point is that love is 0. Ein Soph is love. And Ein Soph is the 0 concept that was kept hidden in mathematics for thousands of years and was only given to the occult people. So when you say, make yourself zero, then you're dealing in the real deal. We're going to go on from this, There's a beautiful thing, and I'm going to be also going on with my negative zero, specifically an invention of my own, towards religion.